Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Luana, a nervous system specialist from thegoodhumanacademy.com. Here on my channel, I talk about all things nervous system health, relationship health, and trauma healing. Today's video is a little bit different. I'm talking about annihilation energy. And you may be thinking, whoa, Luana, what is that? This video is specifically for people that I am currently working with one-on-one in my weekend retreats or my one-on-one practice. And also, if you are a practitioner of the somatic experiencing or a practitioner of Kathy Kane or Stephen Terrell's work, you may find this incredibly helpful. If you are new to healthy aggression, healthy anger, I suggest watching the other videos on my playlist because this is more advanced. But I just want to put this on my YouTube channel so that I can send people here and give them a very real and practical example of how to use annihilation energy, which is essentially healthy aggression and rage, in a very specific and nuanced way. I'm saying very specific and nuanced because it takes time to build the capacity to be able to stay with the charge and the physical sensations that are behind this annihilation energy. So this is not a beginner video. This is very, very advanced. So I caution you to not take this lightly, and I'm using an example from my personal life so that it can be annihilation energy and everyday worldly stuff can marry up and make sense, basically. I gave this example when I was working with a client yesterday, and it really helped her, so I want to make it more accessible to the people that I'm working with. So, annihilation energy. If we think about certain movies, for example, we can kind of get this understanding of how adversities, childhood trauma, big scary things that happened in the past where we couldn't fight back affect how we show up today. One example is the Joker. If you haven't seen the Joker, I really encourage you to watch that movie because the actor in that movie does such a fabulous job of channeling and embodying that sense of dysregulation. If you know that scene of the Joker dancing down the stairs and he's just kind of hysterical in his kind of rapture of existence, and he kills people. He has this annihilation energy that is violence and not healthy. It's not healthy aggression. It's violent. It's dangerous. Yet this video, it's not a starting off point. This is advanced. There are people in this world, the people that commit horrific things, murder and mass shootings, and I'm filming this in 2022. There's been so many mass shootings in this year alone. If you go back in their history, I mean, I haven't done this for everyone, but there are certain things that I have done research, and I'll use the Joker, for example. We know from that movie that he was traumatized as a young one. In the Joker movie, the main character and that storyline is, I think there's flashbacks, and maybe I can put them here really quick, flashes of them, of he was under inescapable attack when he was a child. So parent was being physically, verbally abusive, and the child couldn't fight back or froze because maybe it wasn't safe to fight back at the time. So that's inescapable attack. So it's important to know that coming to physics, when something uses force in one side, like if you put your hand here and I push my hand, I'm using force to push my hand that way. I need to give equal amounts of force to push back on my left hand to kind of like have this sense of equilibrium, right? So if I meet this hand with force, this hand comes in with force as well. It needs to be an equal match. So using the Joker video for an example, the Joker movie, the child, as he was being traumatized as a young one, and he was under inescapable attack, meaning he couldn't fight back because he needed to eat. It was his parent. It's confusing when parents attack their children, and terrifying. Then the child has this equal force energy in their system, but they have to shut it down. This is the survival energy, that fight response. It comes up, but they go into freeze because it's safer in particular scenarios. The Joker movie, many folks that I've worked with have experienced sexual abuse in some variety. So that is inescapable attack. And so it's normal and healthy to have that annihilation energy be present. However, if we don't heal, if we don't learn how to process it, it creates illness, it creates sickness. There's a great book called Why Don't Zebras Get Ulcers? It basically is a study and facts about why that survival energy gets stuck in the body and creates illness. You know, The Body Keeps a Score by Bessel van der Kolk, another great book. I want you to know that if you are resonating with being under inescapable attack at any moment in life, or sometimes we block it out because it's safer to, that it's normal when you're watching this video or just in everyday life to have that rage come up or that anger and dissociate from it or be afraid of it because it is strong. It's our life force energy. And I highly recommend working with a trained professional, someone that has studied the work of Peter Levine, Kathy Kane, or Stephen Terrell. And it will be very helpful in healing because the body keeps a score. So sickness will happen eventually if we have this suppressed rage and annihilation energy. So one thing I want to say as I move into my example is dogs. I am a dog person. I love animals so much, and we are also mammals. And I have taken care of many dogs, and for example, a husky will have a high prey drive, meaning when they see a bird or a rabbit on the street, their eyes will lock in on the prey, and that same annihilation and rage, healthy fight energy is what allows this mammal to make the kill. Because if a husky is in the wild or a wolf, that's how they survive. It's our evolution as species, just like when our ancestors or some folks even now live in more primitive environments. For some reason it's coming to mind Namibia, that, you know, there are tribes there that still live very primitively and hunt and have to walk very quietly and track animals and have that focus and that presence to make the kill and to feed their families. So this is our life force energy. This is the same energy that we can, or that we have had to, in order to survive, to channel to make the kill. For example, a husky locking in and having that surge of energy build up. You'll see the posture in the dog change when they, you know, see a squirrel or something that they want to eat that's alive. And this is the same annihilation energy that we have. And as if you're working with me one-on-one, we slowly titrate little by little and piece together how to embody that, because we can't do it in one session. You can't do this alone. You can kind of work with a professional and work alone at the same time, but it's in order to heal healthy aggression, because the rupture happens in relationship, we need to heal it in relationship if we are truly doing the work. So I'm going to give you an example of how I personally have used annihilation energy in my own life and found it very helpful. So before I started doing the work that I do now as a nervous system specialist full-time, as I was bridging over, I worked as a server. I worked as a server probably for like 15 years, a very long time. And if you've ever been to a restaurant and been served, or been a server yourself, you know, it can be a high stress environment. Everybody wants something from you. You've got 10 tables on the go. Everyone's at a different place. So there's lots of things to focus on and be aware of. I used to work at a seniors residence. And the grace of that place was that things were more slow-paced, yet you serve the same people every day. And people that are closer to the end of their life, they don't have a filter. They don't have time for niceties. So there were a lot of times where, you know, they would say mean things. So this one woman, I'm going to say her name was Joan. Joan, if she didn't have things exactly as she wanted them, she could be nasty. Wowie, wow, wow. So she often said nasty things to me and other people. And I remember one day she said something nasty to me, and instead of me lashing out back to her, which maybe if we were on the street, I may have done that, or if she were 20, 40 years younger, I would have, had a quick comeback. But in the context of I'm serving her, I need to remain professional, I needed to channel my anger and rage for what she said. I think specifically she called me a stupid girl, so that this like condescending, disdainful, like, oh, you're such a stupid girl, because her butter wasn't the temperature she wanted or something weird like that. And so what I did was, she told me this, and I think at the moment I said, ouch, that's mean, that hurt. And she didn't respond. So I walked away, because there's only so much you can hash out with someone like that. So I was like, okay, I need to take 5 minutes. I'm feeling this anger inside of me, and I generally will feel my chest, my heart closes for protection, and my belly. So I was feeling this heat and this charge. And there are different ways to use this healthy aggression, and if you work with me, I've probably taught you a few. For me personally, at that time, I go into the bathroom stall. I need to take 5, tell my colleague, watch my tables, I'll be back in 5. I go into the bathroom stalls, and at this point, what she said to me, it felt like she was like demeaning me. So it kind of felt like even though she was a tiny, slight woman, she felt like really big. And if you've ever had that sense of like someone that you're angry with or that hurt you, that their like face just can't get out of your head, that is a sign that there's some healthy aggression that could be moved through. So I go into the bathroom stalls, and I'm like, okay, I tap into my body, meaning I bring my awareness inside. What am I noticing? Okay, like this rope tightness and this fire, this heat. And so I take a piece of toilet paper and pretend that it's her. And I squeeze the toilet paper, because that's one way of channeling that aggression, of squeezing the toilet paper, ripping it to shreds. This might sound crazy, but this is one way of channeling the healthy aggression in a very specific way. And then I would throw the toilet paper on the ground and stomp on it. If you watch my other videos on healthy aggression, stomping is one way of expressing, stomping on it. Sometimes, if you think about the dog getting ready to eat, they're going to salivate more. So I would salivate more, and then I would huck a loogie into the toilet or onto the toilet paper. And, when someone says something nasty or is mean, there can be this disgust, like, oh, that's like, how could you say that to someone? It's disgusting. It's gross. So I would spit, and I would often imagine her face being there. Now, most of us are socialized enough to say, wow, that's really mean, Luana. Like, how could you do that to this poor old lady? The difference here is that my intent is to move the energy in my body, to move that fight response, so that I can go back to the table and just see her for who she is and connect with her. And here's your butter. Hopefully it's the right temperature, and we can like have a laugh and come back into connection. It's not to be vindictive or retaliate in any way. That's completely different. This is why this is so advanced, and it's very nuanced, and it's all within feeling the body sensations and that movement that's happening on the inside. So coming back to me in the bathroom stall, taking the toilet paper, ripping it up, stomping on it, and spitting on the ground, and the whole time, I would stay present with my sensations. And sometimes our impulse is to speed up, but speeding up will become less connected with ourselves. So I was really slowed things down and really just felt the heat, felt the muscles in my body. Sometimes I would even push on the door of the stall just to help me feel my own strength, because when someone is mean or condescending or whatever situation it is, it can make us feel really small, and we can go into freeze, and that is like a small postural, and our muscles will kind of contract. So feeling the movement of the muscles in the back extending allows my body to move through that healthy fight response. And I would know that I was complete in this process of 5 minutes of going to the bathroom to process this, is when her like physicality in my mind, my vision, I often will see things, is she was small. If you ever have seen like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, so it's a movie of like people turning into tiny things. So she'll be tiny. And I knew my process was complete when she was tiny, tiny. And again, this is not about being more than or less than another human. This is about channeling healthy aggression, that annihilation energy, in a contained, safe, and productive personal way. She had no idea I was doing this. And again, there's no vindictiveness going on. It's simply that's what works for me. Sometimes it works for other people, sometimes they have a different flavor. So I would know I was complete with moving the energy through my body when she was like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a tiny, tiny kind of vision and energetic sense. And then I would be like, okay, I'm done. Open the stall door, go back to serving. And I would say 99.9% of the time when I took that 5-minute break for myself and went back to the person I was serving, Joan in this example, I could see her for the person that she was, and I would feel happy and light inside when I'm in her presence, instead of feeling shrunk and small and holding this grudge against her and lashing out in other ways, and then going home and lashing out to my roommates or the person I was seeing at the time, and creating like a civil war in my domestic life. So that is the beauty of processing healthy anger and that annihilation energy. Once you get to this level, and when I say level, I mean this ability to be with the more intense sensations. This is not a beginner video, so please do not try this at home. If you are working with a trained professional who has studied with Peter, Kathy, or Stephen, or if you're working with me, then you can, do this. But if you're not, please do not try this at home. One thing I want to say, once you train this enough to let this move through, things that used to give you this sense of rage or anger, they won't anymore. Like when people do crazy things or say comments that are just totally left-handed, once you learn how to channel this healthy aggression in an efficient and productive way, you won't get triggered as often. So actually, I rarely do this anymore because I just don't, obviously my lifestyle has changed. I don't work as a server anymore, so I have less people to just interact with. But overall, again, you will have to use these skills less just because your lifestyle will change when you embody more of your fullness, and B, that you're metabolizing things differently. Like, I have a friend who, at that same job, he would always say, Luana, why are you in such a good mood all the time? And I'm like, Miles, I'm not in a good mood all the time. I just move through emotions very quickly because that's because of this work of nervous system regulation. I don't get stuck in things. I metabolize them and then move on to the next. So that, my good human, is annihilation energy, rage, and how we can process it in a healthy way if I'm already working with you. I'm so excited that you're here, that you watch this. Leave a comment below if you can resonate, or call me later and let's talk about it. If you would like to work with me one-on-one or do a weekend intensive, make sure you check out the links below, and I'm happy to make that happen. Thank you so much and take good care. Bye.